What's up, Greg? Welcome to Trust Me, Bro. How you doing today?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Oh, not too bad. Just got done watching that boring Monday night football game.
Yep.
Lots of little backward than I thought it would be. I thought New England D was going to shut these guys down and dominate like they did last week, but the opposite happened. Looks like the
Yeah.
Bears came to play today. So
Yep. Yeah, man. I got about halfway through it.
yeah, I was kind of halfway paying attention. Watching it on my iPad. Because I've got that NFL app. $5 a month. That's my way to watch Monday Night Football. So
There you go.
it is what it is. But yeah, not the most exciting game in over the weekend. So
No, no.
all right.
Football
So
this weekend, though.
yeah, I had some pretty good games. I think it was a mixed bag for me. I didn't see a whole lot of scoring from my fantasy players, but there was a little bit here or there. I had some good surprises like Joe Burrow. He lit it up. I was happy to have him going, and a couple other Juju Smith-Schuster. He lit it up again. So that's 2 weeks in a row that he's been doing great on my team. So I'm happy about both those guys. And a couple of these running backs that I picked up that I'm going to talk about here today.
Yeah, nice.
But way I figure we'll do it today is we'll go through our normal, picks for running backs and wide receivers, QBs and tight ends, and then we'll get into our credentials as far as our championships that we've won over the years.
That works.
So since I usually start, why don't you go ahead and hit me with your first running back today, Greg?
Yeah. This is one that I think you hit me up about, but Deontay Foreman.
Yep.
35% owned. I actually picked him up. I had to drop somebody to pick him up, but he produced well.
Yep.
118 yards. 2 catches for another 27 yards. So, it also helped that
Hubbard.
The other guy went down. Who?
Chubby Hubbard.
Yeah, Chubby Hubbard. Yeah, that helped that he went down with an ankle sprain, but we'll see if he's able to go next week.
Yeah,
I think moving forward, now that without CMC there, he's going to get some healthy production.
Agreed. Yeah, he looked really good. We've seen him in past years. I think he was playing for the Colts last year. Or was it the Colts? No, I'm sorry. It wasn't
Tennessee.
The Colts. Tennessee. And he was filling in when King Henry got hurt. And he looked pretty good. So that's why I thought, he'd be the one of the best one of the two guys, him or Chubby Hubbard. I thought that, Deontay Foreman was the better of the two. And it was interesting to see that they gave Chubby Hubbard the start. And so that kind of threw people for a bit of a loop, on Sunday morning when they saw that he was the starter. But it looks like actually both of them did pretty well. And with Hubbard being hurt, it looks like it's not a season-ending injury or nothing, but who knows? He may miss next week. So
yeah,
I too had Foreman written down as my number one pick for the running backs section of our show tonight. Like you said, his stats were good. That was something that I sent you that text on last week. Once I saw the Christian McCaffrey news.
Yeah.
This was actually one of the secret pickups, that I was gonna talk about last weekend. Was Deontay Foreman, because I had heard some rumors about C-Mac being moved, but I thought that move was going to happen a little bit closer to the November 1st trade deadline, but ended up happening, last week. So I think that was during the Thursday night.
They found a buyer, man.
For sure.
I mean, the Panthers did, man, and I think the 49ers have a good squad now, man.
They sure do. They sure did get blown out, though, by 3 touchdowns by the Chiefs, which, I think it's the Chiefs and Bills. Those are probably the 2 best teams in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
And everyone else is just kind of on a different level. I'd say those 2 are the elite teams, and then the rest are the rest, So,
yeah.
But, yeah, it was good to see Foreman pay off, and it looks like brighter days are ahead for him. So,
yeah, I think so. So we both had him. What's your next one?
Okay, next one is one that you brought to the table a few weeks ago. I think maybe back in either week 1 or week 2. Anyway, Isaiah Pacheco for the Chiefs.
Yep.
He's 49% owned, so right underneath our 50% threshold. He was named the starter over CEH this past weekend. So for whatever that's worth, I thought that, hearing that recognition from Andy Reid and the Chiefs realizing that what they got in him, and if they, it was kind of an even split this past week. I didn't really see starter production out of him, but him being named the starter means that he may end up being the early downs back moving forward, and maybe throw CEH into the third down back role. So
yeah, he's definitely one to go look for. He's actually one I had guys on bye and just a lot of trouble. He's one I actually dropped to get Deontay Foreman.
Yeah, you can't keep them all, right?
See if I can't get him back.
Yeah.
But, the production just hasn't been there. But I agree. At this point in the season, I think he's going to start moving into a lot more touches and a bigger role in that backfield. So
yeah,
definitely want to go look for. Next one I've got is Latavius Murray, 23% owned. Mike Boone just went on IR, so I still don't think the Broncos like Melvin Gordon. I just don't think that. I don't think they like him that much, so I could see Latavius Murray getting a lot more touches. He had 8 carries for 24 and a TD this week, but I think weeks moving forward here, he's going to start seeing the ball a lot more.
Yeah, I ended up, picking up Melvin Gordon because somebody had dropped him in my work league, and I was able to get him on a Saturday morning, when the waiver expired. I didn't have to use a waiver pick on him or anything. I think I've got first overall waiver pick in that league. I wasn't going to use it on that guy, but I was able to scoop him up. The troubling thing, for my fantasy team was that I also had Gus Edwards and Deontay Foreman in that league on my bench, and I chose to play Gordon, which was not smart because both Foreman and Gus Edwards would have scored a heck of a lot more fantasy points, and so I ended up still winning that league because I had Juju and Burrows, so it all worked out. But I would have scored more otherwise. So
nice, good, man.
All right, is it my turn for the next running back, or did you just go? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll hit you with my last running back. He's a guy that I believe I sent you a text about him over the weekend as well. In fact, I just said his name. Gus Edwards, plays for the Ravens, 44% owned. I was an owner of J.K. Dobbins, so I think J.K. stands for just kidding, right? Because that's how his season's been so far. He's been a disaster. He clearly wasn't ready to come back, from the ACL tear that he had in preseason, or training camp, I guess, last year. So I don't think they should have even rushed him back like they did. Just a disaster. They put him on IR, and when they did that, I noticed that Gus Edwards was coming off IR. And so with, those other two lackluster options, I think one of them was Mike Davis and who else? The Drake, right?
Yeah.
And so,
Drake. Yeah,
with those two garbage running backs, being, their only other options, I had a feeling they were going to play Edwards, and it looked like he did get the start. He had 16 carries for 66 yards plus 2 tutties. And so I like this guy, Gus Edwards, especially with J.K. Dobbins being on IR. I think Gus Edwards is going to be a good running back, to get you through for at least the next 4 weeks or longer, if J.K. Dobbins is out longer than 4 weeks. So I picked him up in 3 leagues and just grabbed him wherever I could. So grabbing him with both hands.
I have one more. He's above our threshold. He's about 68% owned. And that's Michael Carter. With Robinson getting shipped out down. Do what?
With Breece Hall going down, yep.
Yeah. Breece Hall went down. Jags just traded Robinson to the Jets. But it's going to be a split backfield, so one just kind of keep an eye on. Michael Carter's been decent. It hasn't been fantastic. Breece Hall was actually looking really good, and then tore his ACL. So it's going to hurt one of my teams for sure.
For sure, man. And so I have James Robinson. He did great the first 3 weeks of the season, and then it became what's their running back? The rookie that
Etienne or
Travis Etienne.
Yeah.
And so over these past 3 or 4 weeks, it's been the Etienne show, and so James Robinson has basically been phased out of that offense. And so I don't know if maybe I guess they had intended to trade him, and they didn't want him getting hurt and screwing up their plans to trade him. So maybe that's why they kept him in bubble wrap, for these past couple of games, because they were probably shopping him, calling different GMs and seeing what they can get for him. I think they got a 6th-round pick or something like that,
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, probably a pretty good deal for the Jets. I mean, and we'll see how they use him. I'm thinking it'll probably be James Robinson early downs, Carter for 3rd down role, pass catching back. But James Robinson, he's a talented running back. I could see with him having that opportunity that he could do a lot better on the Jets than he was able to do this year for the Jags. So I think that's a positive thing for his fantasy value. I was actually just about to drop the guy. To tell you the truth, I would have been dropping him tomorrow night if it wasn't for this move, to New York. So go ahead and hang on to him. See how it works out.
You might as well.
Yep.
I agree.
Okay, so that's it for running backs, right?
Yep.
Okay. Hit me with your first wide receiver, Craig.
Yeah, so this guy, man, he's been showing up the last couple of games, and it'll be interesting to see with Paris Campbell owned in 2.8% of the leagues, so definitely widely available out there.
Right.
10 catches for 70 yards and a TD this week. 23 targets in the last 2 weeks.
That's great. That's close to Cooper Kupp targets, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely been getting the looks. However, Matt Ryan looks like he lost his job. So
that's correct.
We got a rookie QB coming in. So, take that one with caution, but he does look like he's definitely the solid number 2 on that team.
Yeah, behind Pittman. They've always been looking for that number 2, behind Pittman. And, and I think Matt Ryan taking a seat isn't the worst thing in the world for that team. Sam Ellinger, I believe is his name, the QB that they're rolling with. He was a UT guy. And so I remember watching him play in college, and he looked pretty good. I didn't really watch a lot of their preseason games, but I heard he lit it up in the preseason. I mean, of course, you're playing backup, defenses, but he had a really good preseason. So let's see if they can translate over to the regular season.
Yeah. Could be good. All right, cool. What you got for your first one?
Okay, so my first one is a wide receiver named Isaiah McKenzie. He plays for the Buffalo Bills, 40% owned. He didn't necessarily have, a fantastic week this past, actually, I think he was on bye. That's why I didn't have a fantastic week. But anyway, the fact that, what was that guy's name? Jameson, I forget the guy. But anyway, he was kind of sharing that job, that slot role. Crowder, with Jamison Crowder. Yeah. So with him being out, and he was sharing that role with him. So each of them were playing, 50% of the time in the slot. Yeah. But now it's his slot. And so I think, right there, getting those catches in the middle of the field kind of reminds me of a Tyler Boyd type guy. I mean, not necessarily him as a person, but, his role there kind of reminds me of Tyler Boyd, for the Bengals. A third option on the team. They definitely don't throw to their tight end anymore. And so it's pretty much just those 3 wide receivers, him and Diggs and was it Davis? Is that, or no?
Yeah, Gabe Davis. Davis, man. I've had my eye on him too, and I got him sitting on one of my benches, and maybe 2 of them. I was high on him coming out of the preseason, and he's definitely found his way on that team. It's a crowded team, though.
It is. Yeah, it is a crowded team, but their running game really isn't much. So that's pretty much all they do is throw the ball. So if you want to get as many pieces as you can on that Bills offense. So
he's definitely a good one to look for, man.
Yes, sir. I like all right, man. Hit me with your first wide receiver, Craig.
Yeah. So Mecole Hardman, owned in 21% of the leagues. Got him on there too. Yeah, I mean, another solid game, double digits last couple games. He's catching the ball. He ran the ball for 2 touchdowns this week. Right. So they're finding a way to use him. He returns punts, maybe kickoffs too. So he's definitely getting the ball. He's definitely getting the touches, and Juju's kind of finding his way a little bit in that offense. But other than that, he still gets his looks. He's still definitely out there.
I agree. And so, on the Chiefs, I look at it as Travis Kelce is the first read.
Yeah.
Juju would be the second read. And I would say that Hardman or Skankling would be, the third or fourth read. But, Hardman, he's a hard man to trust as far as putting in your lineup and feeling like he's going to deliver.
Yeah.
24% owned. Had a fantastic game. Like you said, 2 rushing touchdowns, plus he caught a touchdown. So he was 4 for 4 on his targets. That's efficient right there,
Yeah.
And he, got 32 yards plus a tutty. So there's 3 touchdowns by this man, 2 on the ground and 1 in the air. So if you can predict when those games are going to hit, man, that's fantastic, to stick him in there, especially on a bye week where you're kind of pressed to put him in there. You just happen to get lucky. That's going to be beautiful.
Yep.
But I had him down too. And so we talked about McKenzie. You brought up Hardman, and he was my number 3. So I'll go ahead and tell you this secret wide receiver that I was going to talk about last week. His name is Jameson Williams, plays for the Lions. He's 31% owned. He's a rookie. He has not played yet this season. He tore his ACL in the championship game when Alabama was playing – God, who were they playing? Georgia, right, when they lost to Georgia. Yeah. So he tore his ACL in that game. The coach just came out last week and said that, yes, he will be coming in and playing this season. We think it could be pretty soon. I'm not exactly sure what week he's going to come back, but I think it's right around the corner. I believe the Lions I think they just had their bye, didn't they? So anyway, it won't be any more buys.
They got smoked by the Cowboys, so, might as well go and buy.
Yeah, right. I know, right?
They had a bye a week before that, and they still lost.
Yep. And so I saw that, what's his name? Their number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah.
What's that?
St. Brown.
Yeah, St. Brown. Looks like they said he had a concussion, but then I found out the news today that it wasn't really a concussion, so I don't know. But they said he was wobbly, so that's why they couldn't let him go back in the game. But Jameson Williams, he's got a lot of talent. I look at some of the great, and he also played at Ohio State at first. He wasn't getting a ton of playing time, so he went to Alabama. He was a really good wide receiver for Alabama. Every time you put the ball in his area code, he'd catch it. He's a tall guy, just really a top class athlete. Could be the next Julio Jones or Amari Cooper. Remember, both of those guys went to Bama, ended up blowing up in the NFL. In 2021, I know these are college stats, but he had 1,572 yards and 15 touchdowns in 15 games. So pretty much bank on him for 100 yards and a tutty each game, in college. But can you translate that over to the NFL? We'll see. But I think it'd be good to go ahead and pick up and put on the end of your bench and see what happens. Maybe don't play him the first game, but let's just say he blows up, kind of like ODB did that one year, where he came in as a rookie and then halfway through the season just lit it up, and he was somebody.
I like it. I like that idea. I mean, I think they're still looking for that number 1 there. St. Brown has been good, but that's twice now this year that he's just fallen out of a game on us, and he's been hurt. So,
right.
I saw that hit. Yeah, he got hit in the head.
Yeah, he
but
did.
He didn't really seem like they pulled him out, and I think they're just being overcautious because of the
new NFL rules. Yeah, they're starting to really harp down on that after what happened to Tua.
Yeah.
So
anyways, I think all fantasy owners kind of got screwed on that one.
I did. Yeah, he got me 1.9 points. I lost my matchup because of that.
Yeah. So
what you gonna do?
That seems to be the theme for my year, man. Is I trust somebody, they go in there and they get knocked out within the first.
Yeah.
First few plays or something like that. And I end up with a goose egg or a 1 or 2 or something like that, and hope the other guys can overcome it.
Yeah, me too, man. It's been a really terrible year.
Yeah, right. So that's all I've got. Do you have any other wide receivers?
No, sir. We're done with wide receivers. Go. I've got 2 quarterbacks and 2 tight ends. So if you want to go ahead and hit me with your first quarterback, Craig.
Cool. I don't have any quarterbacks this week, man. It's been
no QBs.
Kind of business as usual. I mean, you've got you might take a run at Zappo, but other than that, there's not anybody I think I'd really take a run at this point.
Okay. Well, I found a couple guys, that I would look as, bye week fill-ins. If your starter just happens to be out, let's say he's out these next 2 weeks, one of these next 2 weeks, right? And so I've been taking a look at Daniel Jones for the Giants, 41% owned, 202 pass yards with one touchdown. However, the next stat I found really interesting: 107 rushing yards and another touchdown. So he scored a ton of fantasy points by all that rushing on the ground. I mean, he's no Lamar Jackson. I mean, we're probably not going to see that every week, but he's out there doing it, man. And the Giants are winning. I mean, as a Cowboys fan, I'm not happy about that, but they are.
Yeah.
So we have to face reality here as fantasy players. And they're throwing to no-name wide receivers, but somehow they're getting it done and winning these games. And so, I mean, just as a buy. I'm not saying to drop your starter and go with this guy, but to throw him in there as a bye week fill in. I mean, you could do worse.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, next up, my next quarterback. His name is Deshaun Watson, who plays for the Browns.
That's a good.
Remember him from Houston, I'm sure, right? He's only 16% owned. Comes back week 13. So here we are. What do we got? Week 8 coming up, I think it is, right? Yeah. So we've been through 7 weeks.
Yep.
So here we are. We got 5 more weeks to wait. So through week 12, and then you can play in week 13. So if you got somebody like Aaron Rodgers as your starting wide receiver, or Brady, you know what I mean? One of those guys that's a superstar, but just not having the best season. Maybe you can pick this guy up and stash him on your bench, and wait, to be useful to you in the fantasy playoffs. Because we start our fantasy playoffs, I believe, but 14.
Week 14.
Yeah, so 14, 15, 16, right? Well, actually, I think we go through 17 now, don't we? So it might be actually 15, 16, 17, since they have an 18th week. So,
you're right.
So you can get a couple good weeks out of them, and then through the fantasy playoffs. I mean, if you have a terrible quarterback, I mean, why not, right? Stash this guy, and
he's worth the stash. He's worth taking a look. Chances are, if you're going to the playoffs, you don't have a shit quarterback, but you never
right.
know.
Yeah, exactly. I call a guy like him an Easter egg pick. You know what I mean? You put it right now, and you wait for it to hatch. So we could have a good quarterback to get you through the playoffs. I mean, even if you have like a really strong, like let's say the rest of your team is really strong. You got Derrick Henry, you got Cup or something like that, and Kelsey. You know what I mean? And you got guys like that carrying your team, and your quarterback's just kind of showing up, just barely doing the bare minimum. Well, this guy could be a nice little gem, to get you through.
Yeah, I like it. Good thought.
Okay. Yeah, with Cooper being there, and I don't know who their second wide receiver is, but Coop lights it up. Okay, so how about tight ends? You got a tight end for me today, Craig?
Yeah, and this is one I had my eye on last week. I actually picked him up and played him this week, and he didn't do too bad, but I think there's a lot of upside to him. Is Hayden Hurst.
Okay.
He's on 47% of the leagues, 6 grabs for 48 yards. That much like the Chiefs and the Bills, it's a busy passing offense. A lot of people getting the balls. I mean, when you have Chase, Boyd, and Higgins going off.
Yeah,
there's still actually a little slop time for Hayden Hurst. I mean, still to get 6 grabs for 48 yards, and he's good for a touchdown every now and then too. I think you could do worse than playing him.
Right. No, I agree. Yeah, I mean, he'd be a good guy to pick up and roll with if you have to. If you have no other solid.
Yeah, I mean, Joko just went down.
Yeah. I mean, and like we were saying, it's the Bills and the Chiefs show. I would actually put the Bengals right up there with them. Maybe as like the one of the top 5 teams in the NFL. They're great, especially for fantasy purposes. Yeah, I had Tyler Boyd just sitting there on my bench, one of my leagues. I was just kicking myself for not playing him, man.
Yeah, I mean,
how do you predict those weeks, right? I mean, he blew up, like 155 yards and a couple tutties, I think, at least one. I forget how many he had, but he scored a ton of fantasy points.
That's a hard one to predict, man. And
it is.
To see Higgins sit there and not do much until late in the third, fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. That's kind of a shocker, but that's what you get.
Yeah, I think we'd have to kind of like do some research on what corners are covering who. You know what I mean? If you really want to go next level, and to see like if he's got a crappy, corner covering him, or a safety, whatever, that happens to give up a ton of catches. Then if you have that intel, then it's time to stick him in on those matchups. If you if you go to that level of detail and figure that out. So all right. Okay, so we covered your tight end. How about I've got Mike Gesicki, plays for the Dolphins, 41% owned, so under our 50% threshold. What intrigued me about him is, of course, he's not the first look or the second look, and probably not even the third look on the team. But he did have 7 targets in each of the past 2 games. And so being a part of that Dolphins offense is another one that's pretty hot. With Tua slinging the rock around, sometimes he'll pass 40, times a game. Sometimes he'll pass, in the 50s. So if he gets into a shootout with a really good team that can also score, then who knows, man? This guy might grab a tutty or two, just because Hill's double teamed and
he's been showing up the last couple of weeks. That's kind of one of those, Biff Sports Almanac type of picks. If I'd have known that he go off for 2 touchdowns a couple weeks ago, I'd have him on my squad for sure. But
for sure,
a lot of people's luck is they'll go grab him now and throw him on their lineup, and he'll get 2 catches for negative 2 yards. And,
fumble it on the 2-yard line.
Yeah, he's just. I have a hard time believing in that guy. Maybe things are changing. But he's just he's a tough one. He's burned me way too many times.
Yeah, I've never really been a believer in him and never actually owned him, I don't think. He did pretty good when Fitzmagic was there. He would have these weeks where he would blow up. So I've seen him produce, you know what I mean? So he's passed the eye test in the past, not this year, but we're not quite even halfway through the season. So you never know. Could be a lot of.
You're right. He's getting the targets. Last couple of games have been solid. So
could be the start of something, or it could not. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, he's one of those. I guess just
Yeah, we're right about 30% of the time. So he could he could fall into that 70% of not worth it. So got any other tight ends or 8 tight ends?
No, that's all I've got, man.
Okay, my other tight end was Logan Thomas. Plays for the Commanders, only 6% owned. Should be coming back week 8.
Yeah.
That's another guy. I've seen a lot out of him in the past. I think Carson Wentz is hurt for a while now. I believe he's gonna. I don't know if he's got surgery or what, but I don't know if is he out for the season? I don't even know.
No, he's on that 4-game IR, and I think this was the week 1 of it. So he's still got at least another 3 games out.
Yeah. So was it Taylor or Tyler Heineken?
Yeah.
He might be able to lean on Logan Thomas, because usually these, second tier, third tier, fourth tier, whatever you call this guy, a lot of them lean on their tight ends a lot. So, and Logan Thomas he's got talent. He's a tall guy, he's strong. Yeah. Can he stay, on the field? That's my problem with him. He hasn't been able to stay on the field this season. It kind of reminds me of Waller over there in Vegas. The guy's a freaking disaster. I'll never draft him again.
Yeah, so, I'm with you, man.
Yeah, high price garbage.
Yeah, Logan Thomas is one of those guys that you watch him play and you're like, why is this guy not a top 4, top 3 tight end? He looks the part. Makes some catches that catches and runs at the catch that have you thinking, man, this is the guy. But then you throw him on your fantasy squad and you're like, where the hell are the points?
Yep, exactly, man. So I don't know. Yeah. All right. So at this section of the show, I just want to quickly go through some credentials here. I know we're coming up on 30 minutes. I won't spend too much time on this, but just wanted to highlight our accomplishments as fantasy players. Because as we've said before, we've been playing this fantasy since 2006. So we're about 16 years in here. So we've got a ton of experience between the two of us. And I just kind of wanted to highlight, the years that I've won these. Back in 2009, I won my first championship in a Yahoo League. In 2009, I also won my first championship in our ESPN League, 10 yards in Cloud of Dust. So 2009 was a good year for me, won 2 trophies. Didn't win anything in 2010. 2011, I won a ESPN League championship. 2014, won a Yahoo League championship and an ESPN League championship. So in 2014, I won 2 trophies. 2015, I won a Yahoo League championship. 2016, I won a CBS Sports League championship. That was one with an old job I used to work at. And 2019, I won an ESPN League championship. 2020, won a Yahoo championship. And 21, won a Yahoo championship. So most of the years, I'm winning at least a trophy. 14, 15, 16, and then took a break in 17 and 18. But, I won in 19, 20, and 21. So over 15 seasons of playing fantasy football, I've won 10 championships. So I win the ship about 2/3 of the time. I walk away with a trophy in one of the 3 or 4 leagues that I'm playing in. So about 66% of the time I'll win a trophy.
Nice, man. That's good. Yeah, I mean, you've been successful at it for sure. So I didn't document the years, but I do know in 2005 I won a CBS league. That was one of my first back into it. I did it years ago when I was in high school, and we were documenting our own points. But I won a CBS league, getting back into it, and then after that, won 9 championships. I didn't document the years, but in the league that we've been playing in for that long, won that 3 times. The other league that I'm in with B. Coles and some of my old work buddies, won that 3 times as well.
Nice.
John's league that I got in, won that thing in the first year.
Right.
And then I had another work league that I was in. I won a Yahoo trophy in too. So total 9 championships, numerous other Super Bowl appearances that I've taken second place, I think, just as many times I won the championship.
I know, me too, man. I know. I excluded all these second and third places just because, if you ain't first, you're last. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't care about third place, but second place will put your
money
back.
Money. Yeah, sure. Yeah. You get $100 or $200, something like that. So you get paid for sure. But I just wanted to highlight, the victories, the championships we've won. So we got 9 for you and 10 for me. So hopefully you'll get up to 10 this season in one of your leagues at least. So, so how'd you do this week?
I've gotten a couple of them. The other ones, I got some work to do, man.
Yes, sir. How'd you go this week? 4-0? 2-2, just like last week.
2-2, man. The one of them that I won, I had 2 goose eggs on.
Yeah,
luckily I had some other players go off. So, man, it's just been one of those seasons. I feel like I've had more this season of, like I was talking about earlier, where you start somebody and then they get a concussion or sprain their ankle or whatever the hell it is, and they're out sitting on the sideline for the rest of the game, and
but that happened to me so much too. Yeah, it really it's been terrible. Yeah. I went 1-3 this week, so I only won one league. The other 3 I lost in. So it's getting to the point where I can really focus in on one league that I have a really good team. Yeah. And I feel like I can win a championship in that one league. But the other 3, I'm going to be struggling just to make the playoffs, just to be honest with you. But so next week, what I want to focus on will be, close to the halfway point in the season. So I know we're going to talk a little bit about, some of these waiver wire guys, but I'd also like for us to bring the players that we drafted or picked up off the waiver. You know what I mean? The players we got on our teams, right? And let's bring the players that we're happy with and the players we're not happy with. You know what I mean? So just put them in 2 columns. The guys you're happy you drafted, and the guys that were stars. maybe like a Kyle Pitts or something like that. You know what I mean? The type of guys you drafted, but man, it's just not working out. So I kind of want to, I want to give our audience, all 0 of them, some insight into, what players, we have on our team. So we talk about these waiver wire guys all the time, but we don't talk about, the players that we have on our teams that we believed in, when we started this season and drafted our teams. So
yeah,
I think that'd be something cool to focus. Yep. So yeah, so that'll be our homework assignment for next week of Trust Me, Bro.
Cool. All right, man.
All right, my man.
Hey, good luck on the waiver wire. Hope you scoop up some good ones.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you, Craig.
Those teams up there, let's hear 3-1 next week instead of 1-3.
Yeah, exactly. We're due, right? We're due.
That's right.
You need to break out of that 2-2 and get to 4-0, my man.
Yep.
So
cool.
All right, brother.
All right,
well, have a good night. Good talking with you.
You too.
See you next Monday.
All right, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye.